to build an escape room map, but I don't have any experience in it. So I decided to just start and try to figure it out along the way, following the famous words, how hard can it be? For this map, I chose a snowy Arctic polar bear theme, and I'm going for about 3 to 5 rooms in total, as I want this to be a small project to begin with. So, as you can see, I've already started in this project, as I wanted to see if I even enjoy making stuff like this before committing to it fully. And so far, it's been pretty fun. I've made a structure for a quiz that will be added later, and started on building the final room. So I'm basically going backwards with it, starting with the end and going to the start. So to show you the progress I've done so far, this is the quiz part. And it's basically just a simple room with some lanterns and just the text, sample text. And we have 3 iron doors. 2 of them will lead to the wrong answers, 1 of them will lead to the right answer. And the mechanic is pretty simple. You just step on a pressure plate and the iron door keeps you from moving backwards. And this is the correct door, so I will add powdered snow here, but basically you can safely walk through this. If you would go through the wrong doors, you will end up doing this. And the exact use of blocks here is inspired by what I've seen in Abolish's escape room, the Christmas one. So he used the snow blocks and the holes, and that's what I did too. And we have, I think, 5 rooms like that, with the right answer varying from one to another. And I forgot to put the iron doors here, but that's okay, we can fix that. Beautiful. And when you enter the last one, you're greeted with a final hole. And it's supposed to look a little bit like an igloo, although I think it's much bigger than a typical igloo would be. And what I've done here so far is we have this big column in the middle and a little bit of a tricky question. Do you trust me? And I intended at first for this to be just the end. But then I thought, looking at how much the player could have fallen in the pits before, I just thought it could be funny to do a bit of a trust exercise. So the player basically has no choice than to go into this column if they want to progress. But I still think it's pretty cool just to play a little bit on the psychology side, let's say, of things, and give the player some interesting experience. And if we go here, we actually can trust me, wow! And we go out right here. You're free, congrats, you won the game, wow, amazing. On one hand, I like that it's just these signs and it is kind of underwhelming in a way, because it's an escape room, so yeah, you escaped, you're just free, and that's it. On the other hand, part of me is wanting to maybe make some more fireworks here or stuff like this, but I guess I will see in the future. So right now, having done this segment, this also, you don't need to worry about this, it's just me trying to figure out how to make this. Anyway, after figuring out this segment, I had an idea, because when I was thinking about the theme for this escape room, it's like icy, snowy, polar bear and stuff, and what came to my mind was like some sort of ice boat race, but I was considering if I would make it that you need to shoot something on the race, or just make it so it's hard to ride along. But what I've come up to is, because we have a quiz here, but I'm not a big fan of a quiz being just like, oh, if you know this, and if not, not. Like, I would like to give some hints for the right answers along the escape room. So even if you don't know some facts, you could have learned them along the way. And I thought we could use the ice boat race for that, and basically make it into like an educational ride. So we would have the course somewhere here, and it would be basically like riding a boat. And my thought process is, if the player is like, oh, I'm gonna skip through this because I don't need to read things, then later they will find out, okay, it had a cost. And if they actually pay attention to the stops that will be along the way, then they can answer the questions more easily. And that's basically my plan for this segment, and I think that's what I'm gonna be focusing on right now. So I'm trying to decide how curvy to do the ice ride, and I think the middle one is pretty nice, cause like we have this straight line, but it's just going forward, so it's not really interesting. And when I tried curving it that much, whoop, I think it is like more like Formula 1 style of riding. It could be also interesting, but I think it's more for just a thing to focus on entirely at one time. So as we're going for more like a slow ride that possibly shouldn't be really that hard, I think curves like this should be fine. I'm also designing it like I'm not like a pro player, so I don't think it will be designed for pro players, but I also don't think that's bad. So I'm just gonna try and build something now. So I was planning on putting a little time lapse here of me doing this, but then I kind of realized that painting a line, an axiom, and putting some circles down is not really that great material for a time lapse. So instead I'm just gonna show you what I've done here. As you can actually already see, I've managed to basically put down a squiggly line of ice that will be our boat riding track, and the circles will be where our exhibitions will be, our stalls, educational stuff, something that will have information in it. Anyway, we can give it a test ride. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go! Woo! It is pretty swirly, to be honest, but look at me going out of the forest. I am kind of thinking right now that it's maybe a little bit too swirly, but the thing is, like, I want to make it kind of nice to ride, but also I like having these areas like, how it's called? Wait, I gotta learn English for this. I wanted to do them on an arch. Yeah, so then it looks cool, like building wise too. Cause, like, you know, here, I think it kind of looks cool when it's on an arch like this. One thing I could do though is maybe make it a little bit wider then it's gonna be a little bit easier to navigate. Maybe I will make this a little bit less curvy. And now we gotta think about how we enclose this stuff. Okay, so I have a problem now because I used this sphere shape to like do this hole, and I thought I can somehow easily make this into like a tunnel, just doing this, and it magically would would make a tunnel. But I am now realizing that's not how this works. Like I would need to place one, then place a second one, and then place a third one, and then go here and like clear these intersections here. So we could go from one to another. And like it's one way of doing this, but it doesn't really seem efficient, to be honest. And another way I thought of is that I could technically freehand draw like a whole thing like this, and then make the radius smaller and just choose error. But the thing is, I would need to precisely then put this here, and you know, do something more like this, maybe even smaller, which I am now thinking, because we don't need to see this from outside. So even if I did a like chunky stone area, even like this, let's say, and then if I go with air and I try to make it kind of more like, I wish I would have the option to like use half of a sphere. What is a capsule? Capsule is not. Cone is not this. Ellipsoid. Cylinder. No. No. But what I am thinking now is we have tool masks. So if I was to use a tool mask above grass, let me try this with blocks. Okay, now it's just not working at all. Why? Oh, because it's, I know, it is doing it. It is doing it here. It is trying to do it here, but it can't because it's below bedrock, I think. Because it's not where I want to put it, but what is above and what is below, right? Yeah, but that makes only like this layer, so that's not what we want. But could we maybe, can I do, oh yeah, y is larger than 0. Okay, why does this not work? Let me read some more information about it, and I will try to figure it out and come back, because I would love to be able to just get the air block and you know, just make a hollow thing like this, but not like with the whole sphere, but just with the upper half. So we would end with a tunnel more like this thing. Because basically what I'm trying to do is make this into something like a cave system, where it would just be stone, and here we would have these exhibitions that would be basically like a big hollow chunk of the cave. But then this would be more like just a tunnel above the ice, made of stone. And the ice track is kind of long, so I would love to not need to be doing this by hand. So I'm gonna try to figure this out and get back to you. Okay, I found a way it's not working because the Y level on the ground is not 0. It's actually minus 60. So Y is above minus 60. Yeah, now it's working. And if we check out, yeah, we can even see the down side of this. But why is it? Oh, because it should be above or the same as ground. And now it should work how I wanted it to. Yeah, that's cool. So we could use this technique I was thinking about before. So now we could just do this. And it actually works kind of nicely, to be honest. Especially like even not for only creating tunnels, but like whole caves. I think that's pretty cool. The only thing is I need to be careful in which direction I'm pointing, as I can go outside of the scope. So that's like one way of doing this. But I also found another way actually. When I was looking at the video, we could also do this. Let's say stripped cherry log, why not? Maybe like this. And then use the mask outline. I made this just before to test this out. So if we now choose near stripped cherry wood, I should have picked something simple, but it's okay. And I choose active block, let's say stone. And now I paint over it. It only paints like the outlines. Still a little bit wonky for me, like the movement here, so don't mind me if I sometimes get it a little bit jiggly. I still have to get used to it, but it's okay. And now we have a cherry wood covered in stone. So you might think, yeah, but what about this? It's still not a hollow tunnel. But if you're smart and can predict the future, you can see where I'm going with this, as I can now make a selection. Wait, I didn't. Okay, make a selection. Let me make a selection. So it selects everything. And now if I replace this cherry with air, the moment of truth, yay, we have a hollow tunnel. So that's cool. I mean, it has some issues, I guess, here on the corners. I might have, to be honest, just not painted it because it's just next to this one. But what is cool about this one is it gives this really neat surface. So using this method, like it's more rough, which is not necessarily bad. It gives a little bit more of a natural vibes. But looking at the fact that I want to keep the tunnel pretty neat, I think I might actually go with this method, because I really like this. And we could obviously also replace the floor with ice. I would need to fix though, because it is just one below the ground level. Yeah, it makes sense because I didn't use this when I was painting the cherry. So, whoop. I'm very happy this still has the Ctrl-Z option, I'm gonna be honest. So, I think I found my method. and it actually works, and it makes me happy. One thing though is I'm leaving quite big of a mess right here in my testing grounds, but I don't really want to be switching between words constantly, so I just think I will clean this up later. I might also leave it as a fun thing to look at if somebody wants to, but I don't think that's a good idea. I think I will just level it up later. Okay, so let's get back to work. So, I've made a tunnel, and I've made it actually 10 blocks of stone, so I can then shape it a little bit more by hand. And also look how big it is in comparison to this first segment. But I think my brain needs a little bit of break. So we will just go for a boat ride, and then I think I might actually try to make this all look a little bit prettier. But that's how it looks right now. Whee! I will for sure thin this a little bit out so we can see more into this. And there will be fences blocking you from going inside these holes, and there will be fences also to block you from getting into the wall like I did. Whoop. But yeah, and that's the end.